much to carry. Expectation grown just to bury.
POESY, it's always great speaking with you. And I got to say, from the first time that we met, from the launch to everything that you've done, and being honored to introduce you at Young and Dundas for Chevrolet Presents Indie Fridays, Young Dundas Square. Your career has just been absolutely amazing. How do you feel about how you've progressed through the music industry and really have been a major force in Canadian music?
Well, first of all, thank you. I think I feel very lucky and also very proud of myself, I think, because, you know, I've gotten to work with so many wonderful people since being on the launch and then getting signed to Big Machine and putting out, you know, my own EP with them and then progressing to this release that is something that's really, really important to me and a song that I've really liked for a long time. And, you know, to see more like global feedback this time, it makes me very proud of that, like little 22-year-old who like started doing all of this professionally, because we're still doing it and, you know, people are liking it every step of the way.
Well, during those steps, nobody knew that 2020 would have something called COVID-19. How has it affected you personally and your career also?
I think, well, I did buy a cat at the beginning of the pandemic, which
that's great.
Was the best decision I've ever made in my life. Her name is Penny. She's adorable because I like live by myself, so I needed a friend. But I think professionally, like obviously, like everyone else, I terribly miss shows. I miss going to shows. I miss playing shows. But I think it's also made me focus more on other aspects of the industry. Like, you know, my team and I have become very focused on like video creation because that's kind of like, you know, the next best thing to shows. And, you know, we're working on a lot of ways to kind of like diversify the content that we're making. And it's made me like fall in love with like a new medium. So, I think, you know, it's not all bad. I try not to think about the fact that we can't play shows.
Well, you know, it's funny because as we go through this tough time, you have this great new single, and listening to the lyrics and everything, it almost kind of talks about what people are dealing with right now. Let's talk about what the name of the song is and what the song is about, and when did it actually get recorded?
Yeah, so the new single is called Diamonds, and I wrote it like almost 2 years ago. It was actually like the first song that I ever like properly co-wrote with someone. And it was about like being in your like mid-20s and, you know, the pressure of like, well, there's all these people doing this and I should have already accomplished this milestone and I haven't, so I'm a failure, and that kind of stress. And, you know, how we should just like be gentle with where we're at, and every step is valuable, and you don't have to be anywhere. There's no prescribed timeline of your life. And then ironically, fast forward to now when we're putting it out, I think everyone in the whole world is feeling like that because, you know, we all had plans for where we thought we would be, and none of us are where we expected to be. And, you know, there's a lot of roadblocks preventing people from moving forward in the ways that maybe they would like. And, you know, people are having to like be in their house all the time with their thoughts, and that's making a lot of people, I think, reflect on how they feel about certain things. And, you know, so I hope that listening to this song can allow people to be gentle with that process because we're all so valuable.
And all my love, when it gets dark, I know you're feeling lost like this. And all my love, fades will pass, but we're still standing at the end. And I can't see through this raging storm. My head is heavy, but this heart's too warm.
when did you actually get a chance to record this? Was it during COVID-19? Was it before that? And also, the pictures that I saw that look amazing, where were those photos done too?
Yeah, so most of the track of Diamonds is from the original, like, day one demo. Like, the lead vocal is just the lead vocal that I sang the day we wrote it, which is really cool because my voice has obviously changed a lot in the past 2 years.
I want to get into that, and I'm going to stop you there. I definitely want to get into that, but continue.
But yeah, then maybe like a month or two ago, I went back into the studio with Derek Hoffman, who produced it and was the original co-writer on it, with my keyboardist Will, and we just kind of like added some harmonies and a couple of like synth lines and stuff, but most of it is all from the day that we wrote it.
Okay, and the photos, when were they taken?
The photos were this summer. I took them with my very talented friend, Kate Harrison, who also directed the music video, which is coming out next Friday. And they're in front of the Scarborough Bluffs. But I was really happy with them because we took a bunch of photos that day in a few different locations. And it seems like we had like traveled so far and gone to this like very magical place. But it was all just in our own backyard. So that's some nice Toronto tourism for you.
I thought it was like either Italy or the Greek islands or something like that, but it does look absolutely amazing. Let's get to the vocals, because that was the thing that threw me immediately. It sounded deeper. It actually sounded a little bit like a young Cher.
Oh, thank you.
Like, how do you think your voice, and why did your voice, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the track, I love the song, I love the way you sound there, but because I was so used to hearing from what I've heard, you know, in the last year or two, what a difference. How do you think your voice has changed, and why did it change?
I think, like, I also really like the way it sounds on Diamonds, and I think I used to, or, like, at that point, like I said, it was, like, the first, like, co-write I'd ever done with someone in the city. Like, it was kind of, like, the first big thing, like, after I had graduated university and wasn't just like recording songs with my friends in my bedroom anymore. So I didn't used to like warm up before I sang, and I was really cocky. And I think I just kind of like, I can hear it when I listen to that song that I just was like doing whatever I wanted and like just like having fun, and wasn't so like, okay, we got to make this perfect. We have to like, everything has to be exactly right. Cause like I listen to it and I'm like, oh, I could definitely sing that better now. But I think there's like a charm in like how like kind of, you know, it's like a little, what's the word? Like window into like who I used to be before I like, cause now I do like warm-ups every day and like take a lot better care of my voice and have a lot more like critiques on like when I sing and stuff. And before I was just kind of like, this sounds cool.
No, absolutely love it. Like I said, it's got that Cher vibe to it. So will there be more vibes coming? Are there going to be more singles coming up, EP or an album to follow this?
Yeah, there are more singles coming, and they hopefully will be part of a probably around like 7-track EP. The next single we can expect to hear as early as maybe like mid-January or February. And I'm really excited. It's very spooky, and the video is going to also reflect that. And I'm really excited for people to hear it. There's lots of stuff coming, because we've had a whole year of like figuring how we're going to release this out because of no shows, right?
Well, looking forward to all of that. Speaking of which, too, as we're dealing with COVID-19 and, you know, the racism being spoken in such a different way these days, and the things that we're seeing, you know, people fighting about wearing masks and not wearing masks, and, you know, just as we speak now, again, you know, Toronto going into stage 1, and people are like, you know, over the weekend lining up around the block to stores. Like, there's a lot of uncertainty and fear. what advice can you give folks that, trying to get through the 2020, getting into 2021, and, again, there's a third company that says they got a vaccine, and hopefully things will be better. But as we get there, what advice can you give folks to hopefully they can stay on that right track?
I guess like all I could really say is like just be gentle, like Diamond says. But also like realize like, yes, this is not what we're used to. This is not a very fun time in our lives. But if we adhere to stuff and look after each other and think about not just, our needs, but the needs of like everyone, which I think, also ties in with everything you were saying about the protesting this year. Like if all of us aren't doing well and all of us aren't, safe, then none of us are. And I think if more people thought about it like, okay, I don't really want to wear a mask, but if I wear a mask, then I'm keeping everyone else safe. And if I don't, go out and socialize with a bunch of people and go to a bunch of events in different cities, I'm keeping everyone else safe. And then the quicker that happens, the quicker we can all go back to normal. Like I always think about it when I see people being really upset about, the lockdowns. I'm like, okay, I can't get back to my job until this goes away completely. So like everyone just needs to think less about the I and more about the we, I think.
Absolutely agree. Social media, where do we go to follow you? And very quickly, too, any plans for the Christmas holidays?
Any plans for Christmas? I'm not totally sure. My parents live in Hamilton, so I'm not sure what the situation is going to be yet. But I definitely am going to get myself a nice little Christmas tree and watch all my favorite movies. And you can find me on social media at POESY Official on everything.
Fantastic. And by the way, make sure you get that Christmas tree early because people are grabbing them up right now. So it might be tough getting on later on. So grab it ASAP. POESY, always great talking to you. And I'm crossing fingers that 2021 we can speak in person. And I get to introduce you in person to an audience for a show.
Yes.
Which would be great. Have a great holiday. Thank you for the new single. Thank you for the interviews. And just please be safe, and definitely we'll talk soon.
Okay, great. Thanks, Rudy.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.